You're listening to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. We chat with vetted Black entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners as they provide tips and resources to help take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. Hey fam, it's a new month and Black to Business has some news to share with you. We are going on a tour. That's right, we'll be outside this summer and fall all because of you. We've heard what you had to say and we've read what you wanted, and now we are here to deliver. We're bringing back our panel series, Black Men Who Lead, and this year's theme is the DNA of a Black businessman. We're exploring the anatomy of Black men in business and what characteristics lead to a thriving leader in 2023 and beyond. To learn more about where and when, follow us on all social media accounts and fill out the link in the show notes entitled Black Men Who Lead Update List. Now back into the episode. Hey there, and welcome back to the Black to Business podcast. So this week's episode is all about how to turn your passion project into a business. I mentioned this because on last week's episode, I briefly spoke about how Black to Business started as a passion project for me. And then I decided, hey, I want to make this a business. I want to make some money. Let's turn this into an actual business. So I briefly mentioned that on episode 143 last week. So go check that out. But today I'm going to provide you with 5 tips on how you can turn your passion project into profit, because I'm sure you're in a space where I was. You're thinking, I love doing this. I love helping people. I love creating this thing, but I want to make some money from it. I want to turn it into an actual business, and I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So if you're new here, I always like to start with why we're doing something or what's the meaning behind what you're doing. So I want to first dive into the differences between a passion project and a business, because you might be thinking you're running a business, but you're actually running a passion project. So a passion project is an endeavor that you pursue because of your personal interest or a passion. It's something that you do because you love it or you find it fulfilling, regardless of not if you're generating income. So an example of a passion project could be creating art, writing a book, or starting a blog. Now, on the other hand, a business is something that is established to generate income and create value for customers. A business can certainly be based on a passion or interest, but the primary goal of a business and what makes it different is the fact that a business, your goal is to make a profit. So it requires planning, strategy, and an investment to create an actual product or a service that meets a need for a particular market, and then you generate revenue through those sales. When you're thinking about turning a passion project into a business, it's important to approach it with a business mindset. So I always talk about there's a shift that has to happen. You have to think about this is a business, meaning that you now have to think about monetizing your passion project, and you have to think about creating that value for actual customers. So what that might entail is creating a business plan, conducting some more market research, and you could eventually seek funding to launch this business or take your passion project further to create an actual business. It's possible, of course, to turn your passion project into a business. It's just important to remember that there may be some changes or some compromises that you might need to make in order to make it work. So one of those things could be you might need to adjust the original idea to meet this demand once you do that market research. Or you might say, hey, I need to bring in some partners. I need to bring in some team members that have those complementary skills to me so I can grow this business, because that's what it becomes. So just so you understand the differences between a passion project and a business is the passion project is something you pursue out of a personal interest or a passion, while a business is an enterprise established to generate income and create value for customers. Got it? Now let's dive into why it's important for you as a Black entrepreneur to think about generating income and transitioning from passion project to business. I want to talk about this because I know sometimes as Black entrepreneurs, we oftentimes start our business because we want to help others. And I always talk about the fact that in order to make an impact, you need to make money. Like a further impact, you have to make money. It takes resources to do certain things. And when you don't have the revenue to do that, it limits you. So getting into why it's important. So recently I was in a program and I was doing some research on my target audience, which is Black entrepreneurs. Of course, one of the things that I saw when it came to new and first generation entrepreneurs was I discovered that according to CNBC, 8 out of 10 Black businesses fail within the first 18 months. I was like, oh my God, 18 months? Like, I thought it was like 3 years, we got time, we doing it. But they said the first 18 months. Can you imagine what one of the top reasons were? You guessed it. It's struggling to secure capital. Now, in addition to this, according to a study done by the Kauffman Foundation, Black entrepreneurs are also 3 times more likely to be denied loans than their counterparts. In addition, only 1% of Black-owned businesses receive venture capital funding compared to 30% of all businesses. So due to the fact that Black entrepreneurs are facing these greater financial barriers than our counterparts, it's important and crucial for us to understand and think about generating revenue because it can provide that financial stability and resources needed in order for you to grow and sustain your business when you don't have outside resources. And one of the things I always think about when I'm setting goals for myself or my business, I think about some of those obstacles or hardships that I might face. And with finances being one of those things, it's important for you to think about how am I making sure that my business is sustainable within itself if I don't get this capital that most Black-owned businesses don't get. Well, will I still do my business? What are some other ways that I can think about filling in that financial gap? So not only is the financial benefits important for business, but when you're able to generate revenue, you're also able to gain recognition and visibility in your industry because it shows that your product and or your service is valuable to customers and then it has a market demand. And this can help you attract those investors, those partners, and those other customers, which can in turn grow your business and help you succeed. Got it? Now let's get into these tips to help you get started. So tip number 1 is you want to build a strong network. I cannot express enough how important it is for you to find people who can support you and mentor you in your journey. And the way that you can do this is start to attend networking events and joining organizations that can connect you with these potential customers, mentors who can help show you the way, and also potential investors. And I always want to give guidance to those who may be in some rural areas or areas where there isn't much happening. Try to find your community online and use those to your advantage. And it's also important to connect with those who have seen you do what you do and who have also been encouraging you to turn your passion project into a business. Because we all have that person or those people who come to us who encourages us and like, okay, you should be charging for that. You should turn that into a business. So reach out to them, those people, and let them know what you're doing, how you're planning to take it to the next level and turn it into a business. And they may be interested in supporting you and or they might know someone else who would. So building a strong network is so important. Tip number 2 is conduct market research. And this entails a lot of things. So before launching your business, you want to make sure that you understand who your target market is and who your competition is. And the way that you can do this is you can start to conduct surveys and gather some data to help you make those informed decisions about your product or services. Because the worst thing you can do is to create this whole business based on what you think people want, especially when it comes to turning your passion project into a business. It's something that's near and dear to your heart. So of course you may be emotionally attached to it, and it can bring on so many emotional burdens when you feel like, oh, they don't like what I have. So the best way to get that is to get the data. So doing those surveys and understanding what do people actually want. They might want what you have, but in what way? And it makes me think about, I teach podcasting also in the schools here in New York. And one of the first things that people like to do, the students like to do, is they like to say, we're going to get to recording and I'm going to just do it off the cuff and I'm just going to create this show. But I have to take them a step back because I'm like, the recording is the exciting part and the editing is the exciting part and putting your show out there. but that behind the scenes stuff is what's going to make your show successful. So it's doing the research and seeing who's out there doing something similar to what you're doing. And what I always have them answer these questions is, what are they doing? What do people like about what they're doing? And what would you do differently from them? Or what are some areas of opportunity also for them? And I think that this saves you a lot of headache in the long run, because it is exciting to start something and say, I want to transition this into a business, but you want to make sure that you're creating something that people actually want. And also what's going to make you stand out is important as well. So you can also talk to those people who you think are your ideal customers. Remember, I mentioned those people who have been encouraging you to turn it into a business and saying you need to start charging. Sometimes those are the people who are willing to pay. So talk to them and get on the phone, or, have a conversation with them or do a survey with them and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Is this something that you would be interested in purchasing? What do you like about it? Or what are you using to fulfill this need? So say that you have a passion project that fulfills a need. So ask people, what are you using at the moment that fulfills this particular need for you? And when they tell you, okay, what do you like about what they do? What are some of the things you wish that product or service did better? And so that can give you some insight. So let people who you think are your ideal customers know what you're planning to create as a business and get that insight and feedback. And remember, there may be some slight changes from now, this is something that I love doing. I wasn't expecting to get customers, to now you have to meet a market demand. So that requires a totally different mindset. So you want to remember that there might be some slight changes once you turn it into a business, but then also you want to continue to develop that business mindset. Are you a Black man leading in business or community? Or do you know a Black man leading in business or community? If so, we would love to consider featuring you or someone you know in our annual Black Men Who Lead series, where we highlight Black men leading in business and community each June. All you have to do is fill out the nomination form located in the show notes, and if you or someone you know is chosen, they will be featured on our annual list. Now back into the episode. Okay, tip number 3 is you want to create a business plan or a business canvas. Now, I'm going to plug one of our previous episodes, episode 143, where I talk about the differences between a business plan and a business canvas. So a well-written business plan is essential, and also having a business canvas is essential, whatever stage you are in your business, to securing that funding. If your business is going to require you to get some additional capital, maybe going to get some loans or an investor, and you want to set those clear goals for your business. So make sure that you have a plan in place, and that can be, depending on what level you're looking to go, a business plan, an actual written out business plan, or it might simply be a business canvas, which is a 1-page overview. So if you want to learn more about that, check out episode 143. So creating a business plan or a business canvas. And one of the things you want to make sure your plan includes is those financial projections and some of those marketing strategies and timelines that you're going to have to launch and grow your business. Because again, you're turning this into a business, so you need to be thinking about revenue. You need to be thinking about financial projections, but also those marketing strategies to get it to the people who need to see or purchase your product or service. So if you need help, you can also visit our business center, where we handle those business planning and business canvas writing services. And you can simply go to blacktobusiness.com/business center. Tip number 4 in turning your passion project into a business is you want to look to seek funding. Now, in the last step, I talk about those financial projections. So you have those financial projections. You also want to think about, okay, where am I going to get this money to do this thing? And there are many sources of funding available for entrepreneurs. So there are things like grants, there are things like loans, and there's also crowdfunding. So you want to research which options apply and what you need for those options, and make sure that they align with your business goals. So depending on your business type, as I mentioned before, you might need a well-written business plan, because especially if you're going for venture capital, if you're going for loans, they're going to want to see a really detailed plan as to what are you going to do with the money that you're going to receive, and how are you planning to pay it back. And then also, if you have a simplified version, you're like, okay, I don't need a loan. I don't need a, VC right now. I need something simple. When it comes to, maybe you want to look into your community, crowdfunding, maybe those things only require you to have that one page, which is the business canvas. So you want to really think about, what is it that I need for the capital that I'm looking to seek, so you can get creative when it comes to seeking that funding. And finally, tip number 5 is you want to build a strong online presence. Now, this is important because I have expressed time and time again how much I dislike social media. However, I know that it is beneficial for business. So we're living in a digital age, and having that online presence is critical to the success of any business. So you want to think of, how am I going to make sure that I can leverage these tools, which are mostly free, especially when you're starting out on a small budget? How I'm going to use these tools to grow my business, increase my exposure. So one of the things you can also do is you want to think about building a website. You want to think about creating those social media accounts related to your business name. And then you want to start to engage with your customers to build that brand awareness and then attract new customers. So one of the things I always talk about is showing up, especially if you're serious about turning this into a business. I really encourage you to think of a way to show up for your audience every single week. How can you provide value to your audience, to your community every single week? So depending on what service you offer, especially if you're a professional service provider, you might look into a blog, you might look into a video show, or you might look into a podcast. The way I show up for my audience is creating a podcast. Also, what you want to do in these early stages is getting that relationship with your customers. So online, when it comes to online presence, I'll give you a little insight as to what I'm seeing. People want to see authenticity. They also want to see relatability. So sharing your story, hey, I started this passion project, but now I'm looking to turn it into a business, and taking people behind the scenes of that process. It is so valuable. And I've seen firsthand how people who started small have kind of grown with their customers. And a lot of times the customers, you'll see on the post, they say, I remember when you started it this way and it was so small, and I've been with you since day one. So don't be afraid to take people behind the scenes of that process. So let's do a run through of all the tips on how you can turn your passion project into a business. So tip number 1 is you want to build that strong network. Tip number 2 is you want to conduct that market research. Tip number 3 is you want to create a business plan or a business canvas, but some type of plan, because I love to say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And then tip number 4 is you want to look for options on how to seek funding. And tip number 5 is building a strong online presence, and think about ways that you can add value to your audience every week. Now, I want to end this by saying that turning your passion project into a successful business can be challenging, but with those right tools and strategies, it is possible. And we are here to help you. So if you need help writing that business plan, getting clarity, one, if you're looking for a free option, you can check out some of our past episodes where we talk with different professionals and experts in the industry on these particular topics. So check out our past episodes. And then my second recommendation is hire out. Like, you don't have to do everything, especially if you don't know it. Hire out. So some of the ways that we can support you is, one, when you look to create a business, you want to think about the type of entity that you want to create. So like an LLC or corporation, we can handle that process for you. So you can visit our business center, but then also we can help you with creating that business canvas, like thinking about the plan, creating that financial goal for your business, creating that business plan if you're looking to seek loans or funding in other ways that might require a more detailed plan. These are things that we can do for you, and you can visit our business center to find out more about how to do that. You don't have to go at this alone, and you don't have to do it all alone. So that's important for you to understand. And whether you're on a small budget, I totally understand. Trust me, I've been there. There are some things that it's not within your budget to do. But the moment you get that revenue, seek to outsource it. And knowing the fact that we do face these challenges as Black entrepreneurs when it comes to accessing funding and support, you have to build a strong network. You have to conduct this market research. You have to create a business plan. You have to look for creative ways to seek funding and build a strong online presence, because this is the way that you can overcome these challenges and set the tone and achieve success. Because one of the things that a lot of people don't think about is maybe you're building the blueprint in your business, but trust and believe me, when you have that social capital or you have that success, you're able to pass the baton and provide insight to another upcoming entrepreneur. So I just want to leave you with that and remember that. To check out the resources mentioned in this episode, you can check out the resources page at blacktobusiness.com/144. And I thank you so much for listening and pouring into yourself. I'm so proud of you. And I will chat with you next week, same time, same place.